hello everyone, and it's Simon Colman here from the Insurance Apprentice.
Hi, Simon.
Hi.
Hi.
But I like how keen you are, Magkompi. So yeah, this is really the first of our interviews with the task sponsors. The viewers at home would have been watching these games unfolding each week, us selecting the top 10. And this is really where we get into the serious stuff, where we're not just playing a game anymore, and we've got some serious tasks coming. So I'm very privileged to be joined by two esteemed judges, or rather from our sponsor. So we've got Kedibone, Dikokwe, and Magkompi, Raphasha. And just give me a second here while I take a deep breath while I talk about their titles. So they're both from the Financial Sector Conduct Authority, also known as the FSCA to everybody in the industry. Magkompi is the head of Insurers and Retirement Fund Benefit Administrators, and Kedibone is the Divisional Executive of Conduct of Business Supervision. Is that correct?
That's correct, Simon, and thank you for inviting us.
Thank you for the
introduction. It's a pleasure, and thank you again for sponsoring the show. So, Kedibone, I mean, why would the FSCA be interested in sponsoring something like the Insurance Apprentice?
Simon, for a number of years, the FSCA has seen a benefit of putting some sponsorship to this program, because we have realized the value that this program has added to the industry. We have seen how the participants are keen to talk about various topics that are happening in the industry. So from our point of view, it's a show that looks for a talent within the industry, and moreover, we are happy to be part of that search for a talent. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think, I mean, I can just comment from having been involved in this show for a few years now, that FSCA task generally has people shaking. You know, like what's it going to be? I know for a couple of years we recorded it in your I guess like a courtroom at your offices, which is quite an imposing place to do a presentation.
Yes.
This year, I don't know, Magkompi, maybe the contestants will consider themselves lucky because they've been able to stay in the comfort of their homes rather than having to go through to your offices and be intimidated by you as judges. Magkompi, you're actually going to be sitting with me at the judging desk on the day. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what the apprentices, what the candidates can expect?
Yeah, Simon, maybe before I get to that, just to add to what my colleague Kedibone has already said about why we are sponsoring this, I think for me, it's also important for the FSCA to sponsor this, because I personally believe that very often it's not everyone within an insurance company or within the financial services industry in general that get an opportunity to interact with the regulator. So I think this is one of those rare opportunities that you get as a contestant to actually interact with the regulator and to really get a perspective of things from a regulatory perspective, in the sense that we may even ask you to pretend as if you are working for the regulator. So I think it's a very good opportunity for contestants to interact with the regulator.
And it's one of those rare opportunities where you can do so without the fear of debarment.
Yes, absolutely. You're not going to be debarred. There's no contravention. There's no breach of any legislation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's always a tough task, but what's going to happen this year?
Yeah, look, Simon, I think our task is always related to what we are seeing in the industry. It may relate to certain changes that maybe we want to change to better our industry. And in line with our mandate, as you know, our mandate is to really protect financial customers. So this year's task is also in line with that, with the mandate of the FSCA. We have had a situation under COVID-19 where a lot of businesses, regardless of size, have suffered major losses due to the pandemic. And we have seen the insurance industry throughout the world being uncertain as to whether they are liable to make good for those losses that have been suffered by policyholders. So this year's task, we are going to be asking our contestants to really test their knowledge of the insurance industry to see what actually they can come up with to ensure that there is fair outcomes to policyholders, even in the area of uncertainty where we don't know whether insurers are liable or not under their policies, and also to look at what is the role and the contribution of other stakeholders, how they have contributed or how they can contribute to good outcomes for policyholders. So it will be a very interesting topic where we will be really looking as to what changes can we bring in our legislative framework to ensure that what we have seen as obstacles to policyholders, maybe to lodge some of the claims, how can we deal with those obstacles and see that we get them out of the way? And at the same time, how can we bring all stakeholders and look at their role, how they contributed to the situation that we are in, and how they can contribute to the solution, which is what we are looking forward to.
Well, that is a tough task. I mean, some of the best brains in the insurance industry, I think, have struggled with this over the last year or so. So while that is really going to test the candidates, and I think the guys who come through that probably deserve a shot at the title.
Absolutely.
Simon.
Yes. Just
to add to what Magkompi has shared with us, I think from the industry point of view, this year we were, I don't want to say fortunate, but there has been some interesting topics that we could look at. If we look at the past week, we've been having some of the unrest there within our country. So it was a difficult choice for us to come up with a task. But as Magkompi said, we decided to stick to the business interruption cover because that had a lot of time for us to try to look at it. Thanks.
Well, no, thank you. And just a word to the competitors, because I know they're going to be watching this, trying to get some tips. Maybe it's not on CBI.
Yes.
Maybe it's actually on the recent protest action.
Yes. And very interesting, Simon, on that, because I think if you look at CBI, then it involved a number of insurers that provided that CBI cover. And if you look at the recent unrest that we have seen in the country, is mainly the government insurer, Sasria, that is involved in that. But as we all know, that Sasria then use the traditional insurers as its agent, you know. So it's going to be interesting to also see how claims will be processed and how any complaints emanating from that process will be handled by both Sasria and by both the traditional insurers and by the regulators as well. So that will be quite interesting.
I think you're right, and you know, something that's just occurred to me in the role that I have in the industry is we're starting to look more and more at these large-scale events, you know, things that affect multiple insurers at the same time. I mean, I know we've had, you know, fires and things that have affected multiple insurers in various parts of the country. But, you know, when you're looking at things like cyber attacks, for instance, you know, what's the possibility of having, you know, thousands of businesses insured with many different insurers all caught up in the same incident? So I think it's really important. I think you've selected a, you know, really excellent topic here. What are you going to be looking for from the winner? I mean, without giving them too much as to what they need to do, but what would be a standout for you? If I did it right now, you'd go, Simon is the man.
Yeah. Look, very interesting question, Simon. I think we are looking for a person who can really think creatively here, because we are dealing with a real problem here. I mean, we have seen how the situation, the CBI claims, how they have affected small or big or medium-sized entities. And then we are looking at a real solution here. So we are looking at somebody who can be proactive in their approach, in terms of providing the solution. And that is really in line with what the FSCA is now. In our supervision approach, we want to be proactive. We want to be intensive in really identifying the risks there and try to prevent them before even they actually emerge. So here we are talking about a risk that has already emerged, but what can we do, to ensure that similar risks, then we deal with them instead of being reactive, then we are proactive. So we are looking at that person who can really look at the future and think more broadly and think from a proactive perspective how we deal with the risk even before they emerge. So it must be somebody really who has got a good understanding of insurance. It must be somebody really who is really passionate about insurance, somebody who is really passionate about the interest of customers, because at the end of the day here, what we want to do is to see better outcomes for policyholders and for financial customers in general.
Well said. Thank you, Kedi.
From my point of view, I would say we're looking for someone who is open-minded. The topic that we have selected is something that has affected everyone around the world. It's not a South African problem, it's a problem, it's a global problem. And if we look at how, as South Africa, can we come up with ways of dealing with this problem, how can we, going forward, try to preempt some of the challenges that we might have to face with, and how we can control those risks that happened. And this should be someone who is willing to dig this problem and go to the root of it and give us a solution, because people might think that as a regulator, we always have solutions, but sometimes we also struggle to come up with solutions.
Yeah.
Thanks.
True.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah, thank you both, Kedibone and Magkompi. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Magkompi, I'll see you at the judge's desk early on Thursday morning, and we will fire some people together.
I'm looking forward to meeting you on Thursday morning, Simon. I'll be ready.
Great. Thank you. And once again, yes, sorry, Kedi.
May the best candidate win. Thanks.
Absolutely. And just again, on behalf of the Insurance Apprentice, I want to thank you for always being such amazing sponsors. You've done this many years in a row. It's a brilliant task, and I can't wait to see how it unfolds.